Hello and welcome to Videodrone, a podcast about TV mostly. We sometimes talk about movies and stuff that happened to us during the week, but fuck, we've had a lot of shit to talk about lately, especially from the good old company of home box office. My name is Ben Vanel. I'm joined as always by Tommy Dassolo. How you going, Tony?
I'm going great, thank you, Ben. I am so excited to welcome our special guest for the next few weeks. Please welcome onto the show, GREG LARSEN.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here to talk about this bloody show.
It's great to have you, Geggy. You're... and let's make this clear because we haven't done Last of Us on Videodrone. We did it on a separate podcast initially, so ground rules for everyone listening. We're going to talk through the episode beat by beat, basically, without any spoilers for what we know from the games. So just talk about it as a TV show, casting, writing, all that shit. And then we will clearly demarcate a point at which we're going to go full gamer. At which point, jump out if you haven't played the games. But that's how we're going to do it. Greg, you are a fan of the games. You're a fan of the TV show as well.
Big time. Both big fans. Big fan of both the game and the TV show. When season one came out, when it was just episode 1 on season 1, I was like, oh, now I got to play The Last of Us again. And I played The Last of Us again because I couldn't wait to see the next week. So I played The Last of Us again. And then I played that while season 1 was coming out. And then I played Last of Us 2 again.
Yeah.
And then and then rewatched season 1 again.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you're deep in.
So I watched season 1 twice.
I saw you on Sunday night, and as you were leaving the bar we were at, I was like, anyway, I'll see you Tuesday to talk about Last of Us. And your partner turned around and went, he's very excited.
All I've been talking about all week is I can't believe it's coming. I can't believe we're here.
Yeah.
It does feel like it's been a fairly long wait, but yeah.
Yeah.
Should we get into it? Episode 1.
Yeah. Season 2, episode 1.
I love
Future Days.
I love it when a new season of a show opens with the last kind of few seconds of the last episode of the previous season. Because I haven't pulled a Greg. I haven't gone back and I've been rewatching the last from about halfway through because Lauren never watched all of it, so kind of been but she hadn't quite made it up to the end yet. So I'd forgotten that sort of last moment of season 1. Ellie saying, "Promise to me." Promise me that the fireflies are as bad as you say. And him going, yeah, bitch, I promise. Oh, I promise. And not
I don't
only
know if he said bitch.
not only am I confident, not only am I confident in what I'm saying, I'm also confident that none of what I'm saying right now is ever going to come back to bite me in the ass in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And as we said, just from watching the show, and a lot of people, this was something we talked about at the end of the first season, Greg, is that moment and that sort of moment for the character of Joel and the moment for Ellie where it changes everything. And I feel like even, through the show, we get that she is not entirely convinced.
Yeah. Like you mean in that scene?
In that scene.
Yeah.
In her eyes, we see a lack. We see her accepting the lie, essentially.
Yeah, I always took that scene to mean, and this is what I love about the writing of this show is how they don't spoon feed anything to you, and there's room for you to wonder what a character is thinking. And in that moment, I'm unsure if in that moment where she goes, okay, tell me the truth. And then he says, yeah, I what I told you was the truth.
Yeah.
She says, okay. And it's unclear, but it's either she believes him or she's decided to believe him. She's decided to accept it despite her doubts.
Yeah, she can turn on him and be like, fuck you, I don't believe you, but he's sort of all she has at this point. So, after everything they've been through, maybe it is just she's setting herself up for this pretty grim life if she kind of bails on him now.
And I think in that moment too, because that moment is so important too, because he's talking about Sarah, he's talking about his daughter, which he never really talks about, like right up before that.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's finally like he's, you know, he is thinking of Ellie as his daughter,
Yes, yeah, completely.
and he is like, you know, and she sort of knows that too. Like they've been through so, like she knows that like he cares about her, and she does care about him. So she's like, I have to accept that he's telling me the truth. I have to, you know, have faith that he's telling me the truth.
Yeah, even though, there's that real complexity of like, well, I'm not his daughter, and I'm not sure that it's healthy for him to replace, you know, his dead daughter with me. Like that's, he's failing to process that daughter's death in a way by just swapping in this new one. And it's all subtle. And I agree. I love that about it. You don't necessarily have to read that into it if you're not watching the show with a certain perspective, but it's awesome that it's there. And I forgot how great these two actors are as well, because they're fucking sick. They're perfectly cast. I was watching with my partner, and she was like, "Did you played the games? Did you like these two actors? Like, is this a good casting?" I was like, "Yeah, it's perfect. I can't imagine a better casting." And so
and I think it's good too, because they're not, without going into any details of the game, they haven't bothered to try and like do a 1-for-1 copy with every single like trait or mannerism or whatever, and that's good, because then you're just going to get impression, like it's you still want it to feel like this is the show, this is not the game, it's a different thing. And I think they're so good, they're so freaking good in it.
I'd kind of forgotten how the end of season 1, like there was so much of the discourse about it, I think mostly from people who hadn't played the game, was like, Joel, you fucking asshole, how could you, I was so into this show, and then this guy's just acted like this complete shithead at the end. Like, people really were, like, I remember seeing a lot of stuff online about that, like, that moral debate of, like, it was kind of so interesting, like, seeing that, kind of play out, knowing it was coming, but, like, seeing other people respond to it, and people really be just like off the character, like that they'd spent 9 episodes with, going like, oh, I fucking hate him now.
That's something I actually didn't know, because I try not to look at what anyone says on the internet anymore. Because if you go into the Last of Us subreddit, the people there are not happy about it, a lot of things. I find that kind of interesting that people like hate it, like, because it was, what I like about it as a scene too is like, in that last scene in episode 1 is like, he's like, I mean, what the fuck is he supposed to do? Like, he's in a situation where he's like, he's like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, kill Ellie. Yeah, that's fine.
Kill my new daughter.
Kill this girl, that like this innocent girl that I've protected for the last however long. It's like, I mean, the journey takes, I don't know how long it is in the thing, but it like they go through seasons, so it's it's like nearly a year, I think, of them traveling across the country, and then he's supposed to just accept that. And I feel like, and I could be remembering this wrong, but I feel like, in the gamers' reactions were a bit more like, yeah, good on you, Joel. Maybe not. I can't remember.
No, I think there was a lot of people going, yeah, good on you, Joel. And I think there was as well with the show. I think that was the interesting thing, was because I played the game, I think when it came out, like on PS3, and I remember, and kind of in a vacuum at that point in time. Like, I wasn't going on subreddits and stuff. Like, I was just talking to my mates about it. And I remember my reaction being like, how could you do that? You've doomed the rest of the world to, a perpetual zombie nightmare. Like, you should be putting the greater good ahead of your personal, like, I thought, I kind of read it as Joel being selfish and being like, well, I won't, even if Ellie wants this, I won't put the rest of the world ahead of my new daughter that I love. And then, yeah, I feel like there was a lot of people responding to the TV show in the affirmative of like, yeah, how could you kill poor sweet Bella Ramsey? You did the right thing. You know, it would be psychotic to just let her die. So I don't know. I think there's definitely both sides swirling around, and I think that's the great thing about it, right? Like,
yeah, that's why it's such a good fucking show.
yeah,
Is like it's so hard. Like, I mean, and Joel, like, you know, we've seen what Joel has gone through, and then we've seen, you know, in episode 1 of season 1, the transition from like, you know, him being so upset about his daughter dying to like, then, you know, however many years later it is. It's like 20 years later, isn't it? Like
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like nonchalantly just dumping a kid's body in a pile of bodies.
Yes.
'Cause
Yeah.
he's like, you know, and even at the start, like he's like, yeah, Ellie, you're cargo, you know, and
Yeah.
he would have let her die if he needed to, you know.
Yeah.
And then he finally gets his humanity back by going on this journey with her, and then he's supposed to then give it away again,
Right.
but for the greater good. But then it's like, and yeah, I remember being shocked in that moment, just being like, that's what I fucking love. It was just such a perfect ending because it's not easy. Like an easy ending would have been like, you know, Ellie gets told and she sacrifices herself and Joel has to live with it. You know, that's
Right.
a sad ending.
Right.
Or that Joel just walks away and he's sad, or what, I don't know. Like,
Or yeah, Joel finds out, it actually probably won't work, and so he saves her, and it's fine, and there is no moral quandary, or
Yeah.
you know, something like that.
yeah, they could have made the scientists more evil. You know, like we've tried this 6 times and it hasn't worked, but maybe it'll work this time.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, or the Fireflies are all pedophiles. Or but they made it really good. They made it really complicated, and that was what was good about it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I remember, having played the game, being like, well, you could never make a sequel to this because the ambiguity of the ending is like the point. It's kind
Right.
of this perfect, beautiful, you know, poetic, dark ending. And then they did. And here we fucking are. Start of season 2. It's adapting the second game. Like I said, we won't go into anything post the actual text of the episode itself, but let's fucking get into it.
Yeah. So credits, and then we open with Abby and her friends
Yes.
having a sort of mini funeral burial for these people that Joel murdered, and basically vowing revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not something I believe that because there's been a couple of things in the show that were complete, like real big extrapolations on like very small things in the game. And I was surprised to see this. Maybe I just don't remember the game well, but I did like that they introduced these characters early. It makes sense, right, for a TV show. Like you've got to have some kind of grounding in what these people's names are and how they know each other before they throw you into what you know unfolds. But that I like that. I think I really like the Abby actress. I don't know that I've seen her in anything before, but
Yeah,
She was in the Belle Gibson.
oh really?
Oh, is she really?
I think I hadn't seen it, but my partner had, and she was like,
Right.
she's Belle Gibson.
Oh,
in the
right.
Belle Gibson thing.
She's also in that show Dope Sick from a couple of years ago about the
Oh, yeah.
opioids and
Fucking
that's
Dope
right.
Sick. Let's
Michael
talk about
Keaton's in.
Dope Sick.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
break that down.
What a fucking good show that was.
Great show, and she's great in it. And
yeah.
I think I hadn't really been paying much attention to the like casting and all the like lead up stuff before this came out. So yeah, I think she's great. Excited to see more of her, but yeah, basically, her and her little
Yeah.
Firefly mob. We get a bit of contextual kind of. I sort of gathered this was meant to sort of show us where exactly this is happening by sort of showing us the giraffes like at the start of the scene, like, to kind of like
Yeah.
anchor where this is happening. And then so this is sort of like not that long after that whole episode has taken place, right? Like,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
burying these people like the next day or very soon after.
Yeah, and they mention that they're gonna go off to some bunch of, I forget how they describe them, but it's like a militia or something like that. Some guy Isaac's running this thing.
Yeah,
and
in Seattle, he says.
that's right. Yeah, maybe they can go get some help or something.
Yeah,
So,
and they're
yeah,
like, we
that's-
don't even know who this guy is. His name's Joel or Joe, and he's
Yeah,
He's
she's
got a
like,
beard.
he's
Yeah.
apparently really handsome.
Yeah, he's a real looker.
Yeah,
Yeah, like it's basically setting up. There's like revenge afoot.
yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, just a good scene. And like what you mentioned with the giraffes is just a good example of like good filmmaking when you know that's your show don't tell.
Right.
right.
Perfect example of just like let us know where this is and what's happening without being like too explicit.
Yeah. Yeah, without them all standing around being like, so yesterday, when
when we were at the hospital,
What
Yeah.
a day, huh?
and that Joe guy came
Remember
in,
when that guy came in?
he murdered all of our families.
That's them in the ground right now. Like, they've just buried them. It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I reckon it's caused me some trauma that I'm gonna have to deal with.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was cool. I liked that tiny little setup scene. And then they mentioned they're gonna go get some kind of help, go to Seattle, and then maybe get some leads from there. And then is it right after that scene that we jump forward 5
years later.
5 years
Yeah.
to Ellie being bashed.
Oh,
I like when you
yeah.
say show don't tell with the giraffes, and then just like the next thing that happens is explicitly text on a screen 5 years later. It's like, some things like
Some things you have to say.
It's easy. What you can do is just show like a calendar flipping through.
Yeah.
I wonder if there was a
Clocks
discussion
drifting
like,
through the screen.
is there a more elegant way of doing this? I mean, the giraffe things are pretty neat. It's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, let's give ourselves a bit of a break on the next one.
Yeah, I think we bought some grace here.
That is the thing too. Like sometimes it's just like, just text on screen, dude. If you're gonna have to like do a lame way,
Yeah.
like
Right.
text on screen is fine. It's actually fine to just
Oh,
go.
and it's in the same font as the logo. Yes.
They should have shown the giraffes aging 5 years in a time lapse.
Wow, this giraffe has died from cancer. It took 5 years to die.
But yeah, we open on Ellie with a bloody nose. She's getting the shit beat out of her by some big burly man,
Some
Big
fella.
unit. Yeah.
big fucking unit, and then it's just practice fighting.
That's a great scene because like the thing that I was nervous about is like I guess how like like the physicality of Bella what's her name? What's the
Ramsey.
Wait, that's her actual name.
Yeah.
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 You mean
'Cause
Ellie?
because I get confused with Game of Thrones
Oh yeah.
because there's like character called Ramsey in that, and then I was like, wait, is that her name from Game of Thrones?
I get confused with real people and fictional characters.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I watch a lot of a show, I think they're my friends, and I kind of like I'm talking along with the show.
Yeah.
Are they here in the room? Can
I have a parasocial relationship with the giraffes from the second scene of episode 1 of the show.
But like that was a really good scene because I was worried that she like because in a game or an animation or whatever you can just literally draw someone older.
Yeah.
And I'm like, she looks young in season 1 and season 2 and that was a very good scene in like how aggressive she was in that fight. Mm-hmm. And how like she's like, you fucker, and then like you don't hold back. Like she was not. We see someone who is clearly like knows how to fight and has known how to fight for a while, and B is like pretty aggressive and not afraid of a fight and not afraid to get her nose busted open.
Yeah.
Totally.
She's like, we see someone who is like, mature and actually, physically and mentally strong.
Yeah.
And because she felt like she was, she was always the light-hearted one in the first season. She
Yes.
was I'm just going to have a look around. You know, Joel was the cynical one. He was the cautious one. He was always trying to teach her to be careful, to be hardened, you know, to lose some of that empathy because it can be so dangerous in that world they're living in. And she definitely seems like she's lost it now. She is fully, I mean, like she's still very like headstrong, but it's in this way that is like skirting danger. It seems like most of the time. But yeah, completely agree. I remember thinking she looked so young even in the first season, but yeah, you're right. Again, a show don't tell thing. She's a tough bitch. She got a tattoo now.
She got a big tattoo.
Yeah.
And what was good about the scene too, as well, is like I feel like a hack way of doing that scene would just be her kicking ass completely and winning the fight totally. And what was good is like she won in the end after it was hard fought and she got her nose busted open. And so it doesn't like, you know, she's not invincible. She's not some superhero, you know, and we also know that he probably could have beaten her if he hadn't held back, but she was like, don't fucking hold back.
Because she finds out, he was pulling the punches, and then she's like, she's really annoyed by that. Like, she wants to feel like she's
happy to lose if she needs to lose to get better.
Right.
And it just made it feel more real and more good and better, good time.
And he says something basically like, he's like, we were kind of holding back because, you know, we don't want to get in trouble with Joel. We don't want to, like, completely fucking beat the shit out of you. And then, so you get this impression that there's this, like, everyone in this town knows about this relationship, this very protective relationship. And, there's a degree of, like, Joel's going to, if you mess with her, Joel's going to have something to say about it. So, and also her clearly being quite pissed off.
Resenting that. She wants to be her own person. And we meet, I don't think we get his name yet, but we meet the character Jesse.
He's his name. Oh, in that moment he isn't, but
He's wearing a big name tag that says Jesse, right? Again, the way they do stuff on this show is just so elegant.
Jesse and then brackets from the game, remember? Other guy does not get named. I don't know who the big man is.
Guy.
Some fucking lumberjack. But then we cut from that to the old man himself, right? He's sitting in his little workshop tinkering away with his little glasses perched on the end of his nose.
His cunty little glasses.
He looks like an old man now. Like he's looking old.
He looks like Geppetto.
Bloody pedo.
Oh, yes.
Good
shit. Joel is a pedo.
A lot of our listeners were so excited that Greg was going to be joining us for Last of Us, and they're lighting up in the streets right now.
But you're right. He's an old bloke just tinkering away at his electronics. We meet another character here. Dana. Crocodile Dundee.
Geppetto and Crocodile Dundee.
Good little scene. You know, a sort of expositional scene. It shows, you know, Joel is respected in the community. He's the fixer. Like as in the electronics and the woodwork and stuff. That's his background.
Yes.
Yeah. You're totally right, Greg. Like this is probably the most like expositional the show kind of ever gets, but it's still, and you know, sometimes you just do have to have that in a script, but like still, you know, if this is like the quote unquote worst that it gets, it's very like, you know, her going, so what's going on with you and Ellie at the moment? And him going, well, why don't you tell me? You're her best friend. It's like, that is very like clear, but at the same time, it doesn't, it's like, yeah, I mean, that's a conversation that would, you know what I mean? It doesn't stick out as.
And, exactly. And that's the thing is like, sometimes you got to write exposition and you got to find ways of doing it in a real way. And like people do want to get the goss.
Yeah.
And it is the kind of thing where it's like, you're a friend, like you fucking tell me. Like,
yeah.
You know,
Why is my troubled teen daughter pissed off at me?
Yeah, and it's also clear here that it's like, you know, I could be wrong, but I think he even refers to her as like, you know, all daughters are like that at a certain age.
Yeah,
And
he
it's like,
kind of says,
it's so clear that it's like, yeah, she's my family.
Yeah, he
that
basically
too.
is like, he kind of starts the sentence. I think he's sort of basically going like, you know, she's my, well, you know, not daughter, but, you know, whatever.
Right.
And then
right.
he goes on a little bit further and he's like, you know, she's 19. That's like all, you know, all girls at that age feel that way about their father. Like he kind of,
right.
the start of the sentence, he really backs away from kind of formalizing the relationship in that way. And then the more he talks, the more he's just like, I mean, let's cut the shit. This is what it is. Like it's as close to that as you can pretty much get in this world at the moment.
And she doesn't have a father.
Yeah.
Like she's never
Right.
had a father. Like she's never known a dad or anything like that. So like, like from her perspective, he kind of is.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he I don't know, he uses some therapy speak and Dina clocks it and it's like, hey, you've been going to see Gail or whoever her name is?
Yeah, Gail.
Which I'd forgotten that this was going to happen, but I remember hearing that Catherine O'Hara was cast and that it was not a character from the game. And I don't know. Anyway, we'll get to that. But he says, don't tell anyone I'm in therapy for God's sake.
Yeah, I'm a man. And we're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. Even in the post-apocalypse, we can't have feelings.
Especially in the post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
And it's also funny. It's like I don't know if I feel like there's little things peppered throughout where it's like remembering that society basically ended in 2003. Because it was like what in the show it's like 2003, isn't it? That
Is it?
Sounds
it
right.
is.
Yeah.
Because I know in the game it was 2013, or,
Right.
or 20, whenever the game fucking came out. But I feel like in the show they actually went even further back in time because they were like it's got to be 20 years later, and
Right.
I'm sure it's like 2003, 2004 or something like that. But anyway, I mean that's just an aside. But it's just like, you know, their sort of culture or whatever is probably hasn't advanced very much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or when it has, it's been in these little microcosms of just within these little communities that they've built, sort of not on a broad kind of global level. But yeah, really love this scene, and I love it's just something so funny about Joel's new life where he's a what is he before all of this kicks off? He's a builder, right? He's a
him and Tommy are
he's
builders.
construction,
and now he's like basically got the equivalent of like one of those little stalls at the mall where they fix watches and repair shoes and cut your keys. He's just got his little workshop.
But he's also like, I think like you said, Greg, like they come to him for everything because I think Dina has maybe gone there with the sort of excuse of like, hey, there's like fucking roots in the pipes. They're they've cracked and it's all fucked. And he's like, oh yeah, by the way, pull all the roots out and seal it up with some glue. Like, thanks, Daddy.
Well, this was what was cool about
Thank you, Daddy.
season. This is what was cool about season 1, right? Was that we from having played both of the games when season 1 was out, we knew that this town, we'd see a bit more of it and it'd be fleshed out. In the first game, it's referred to, but you don't actually go there. But then getting that whole episode in season 1, where they knew, looking ahead that this is like kind of quite a big fixture of this world at a certain point.
Right.
And like, remember there's that scene where we kind of, that sort of, nothing's really done with at the time, but you see Dina like kind of in the back, like kind of spying on them when they first get the tour of the town, and then she runs off, and then it's nothing that much is really done with it. So like those little look aheads that they were doing. So like getting that sense of this town to have it now be really fleshed out and kind of see how things operate, and they've got their little once a week movie night, and this idea that when things happen when there's an event that happens in the town, it is like you sort of have to go. It's considered kind of weird to not be at this event.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird how it takes a zombie apocalypse for a sense of community to fucking return to to our world. It's kind of beautiful. But I think I think this is all in. I'm reading off the Vulture recap. If anyone wants to fucking come at me, but it seems like the next scene was Ellie doing sniper shit with Tommy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This was like an awesome scene because we got to see a clicker get its head blown off.
Oh yeah.
That was fucking cool.
Yeah.
How many times you rewind that one?
Bloody the tape got fucking all messed up.
Because you see its pussy when it falls down, right?
For a second, you see the clicker's pussy, man. In season 2, episode
animators put
1,
that
you
in.
see a clicker's pussy for fucking
Put
half
it in
a
as a little
second.
Easter egg.
Yeah. It's 17 minutes and 43 seconds.
But
Look
this,
it up, people.
this was the scene that had a line in it that I hated.
Oh, really?
I fucking hated it because I thought this was and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just like we know she's immune. We don't need her to go, I'm immune. And then she screams
sure.
out, I'm immune. It felt like a thing of them just going, oh, we need to remind people that she's
Right.
immune to the thing.
100%.
Yeah,
And I'm
true.
like, honestly,
True.
and I feel like if you've forgotten that at this point, like
Right.
there's no helping you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the entire point of season 1.
Yeah.
I'm
The
quite
entire
bad at remembering
point of
details
it.
between seasons, but I don't need the Roy brothers on Succession to be like, now guys, let's remember we are all related, and that is our dad, and we all want his
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. It just the way that that it happened, it just didn't feel natural, and
Yeah.
it really felt like they were trying to remind us that she's immune when it is the entire point of the entire first season.
Yeah, and like if there are people out there who are starting from season 2, episode 1,
Then you're an
it's-
idiot.
You're a fucking. That's not how to do life. You've failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back and watch the first season.
It's not Third Rock
yeah.
from the Sun. You really do need to be.
Yeah.
I will say though, the thing
It's not the greatest show ever made.
French Stewart would make a great clicker. Hopefully they can start to thread some like just big celeb cameos in, just as the clickers.
Which show had a better Tommy? Third Rock from the Sun or The Last of Us?
I don't.
Both good Tommies.
I've never seen Third Rock from the Sun. I don't know why Third Rock from the Sun is being talked about right now. If you had asked me to pick what is the most obscure show that will be referenced, I would never have guessed Third Rock from the Sun.
I was about to say The Simpsons or Seinfeld. I was like, no, you can work a little bit harder than that. You can go a bit deeper into the memory bank.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, Greg, I agree. But at the time, I gave it a bit of leeway just because for me it was more showing us that not so much that she's immune, but that this is still being kept a secret from that was the thing where I was like, oh yeah, I guess
that's
I
true,
guess they
yeah.
haven't really let everyone in on they haven't let anyone else in the town know
Sure.
the word isn't out about this yet, so that it's literally just like Tommy and Joel and what's her name, Maria, yeah
Tommy's wife.
I guess it's maybe just them who know, and that's it, because otherwise I kind of would have assumed, hey, that's her thing. Everyone in the town kind of knows her back.
Yeah, maybe-
in 5 years,
maybe-
maybe at a time they would have told that story, and
Now that you're saying that, I mean, maybe they could have done it in a slightly better way, but
yeah.
Yeah, Tommy being like,
I think
we don't
you're right.
we don't
I
talk
did-
about that.
I did overlook that, I guess, because, I know. So I did overlook the fact that, like, it isn't clear that
That's-
everyone else doesn't know.
That side of it, yeah. But
Yeah.
you're right, like, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's what I was waiting for.
Greggy's done a muck up. But like, I do still agree that it was done in an incredibly unsubtle and inelegant way. But
Yeah, the bit of her yelling that out we didn't so much need, but yeah.
but it also showed again she's reckless. She's a reckless, danger
Reckless
seeking little girl.
And also, but another good scene, and I think it can be shown, a bunch of times. She knows how to shoot. Like, that's a long shot. She got a headshot.
And we got to say, I mean, as well, I know, like, repeating the last scene from the end of season 1 is sort of about, catching you up and just, showing that moment again. But I mean, I'd sort of forgotten until they did that like last shot of them kind of walking away. God, this show looks beautiful. Like,
Oh, yeah.
like this scene as well. Just another like anytime they're outside of the little compound and actually in the wild.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, it just looks beautiful.
Looks fucking good.
There's a great shot later on that it was Ben's shot of the week that I'll highlight when we get up to it.
All right, can't
But
wait.
yeah, you're right. Highlighting again, she's a tough mother. She can blow heads off and expose pussies. What I thought the line, and I actually forgot all that exposition stuff. The line where Tommy tells Ellie, "You and Joel are the same fucking person," which was I thought that was a little, a little unsubtle, and also not 100% sure. I guess.
Yeah, that's what stuck to me was like, yeah, basically what you both. Oh, you happen to know two very stubborn people, but
Right.
going like. Yeah, this 19-year-old girl reminds me a lot of my brother, who's like 50. It's just a bit like,
Yeah, but
it's just I don't know.
I would give that leeway in the sense that I feel like that's what people do. That's what people say when they're just like, just one thing annoys them about, like, oh, you're just like your
Right.
father.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
you're
sure.
like,
Yeah,
and it's
true.
like,
Yeah.
are you really? That you're just saying
Yeah.
that in this moment, like it is a thing where it's like, I feel like it's a thing people say.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Whether
that's
or not
fair.
it's true. When people look at babies and go, it looks like you. No, it doesn't. It's a
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah. Oh, it's
No
got its
baby
mum's
has
eyes.
ever looked like a fucking a person.
Yeah.
I've never seen a baby and thought, fuck, that looks like someone.
Yeah.
It just looks like every other baby. Like they
Yeah.
just fucking.
Unless it's
haven't.
some weird ass baby looking adult.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you look like your father who looks like a freak.
No, we need to make that go the other way because the baby doesn't care. But going up to a 50-year-old and going, has anyone ever told you that you just look like a large baby?
You look like a fucking baby.
You look like a stretched out baby.
You look like such a baby, and I want to put you in a little nappy and take you
Yeah.
to
It's a compliment at your age to have
Yeah.
skin that
Yeah.
smooth and a brain that pure. That's
I want-
actually a compliment.
I want you in my papoose. Let's go.
So then next we see Joel in his therapy session, right?
No, there's
Oh.
the scene before that's the council scene, I think.
council
Remember?
scene.
Where no, it's not a council scene. It's just he's talking to Maria.
Oh yeah, and she's talking about like we got more people coming in, and he's like, we
Yeah, yeah.
need more construction. He's like, I can't go any faster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've got to take care of our people before, new people. All of that shit happens there. And she's like, hey, you were a refugee as well. Like, don't isn't it interesting how once you get what you want, you suddenly shut people out?
The Last of Us has gone woke.
Yeah, this
Talking
felt
about refugees.
yeah. This in an election year in Australia too. This felt a bit pandering to me.
yeah.
I don't reckon they're getting this on HBO Max in the US. I reckon
they filmed
I
that
reckon
scene
they
for
snuck
Australia.
this in.
Imagine if they did. Imagine if they filmed that scene. Every country got a different one. Like there's one in like Serbia where he's talking about Yugoslavia. And they're like, this doesn't even make sense.
You know
Yeah.
what? Don't forget what Slobodan Milosevic did for all of us.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You came here on a boat. Remember, Joel? You're a boat person.
I thought this scene was fine. There's nothing really stood out to me about this scene. It was just
No.
like a
Yeah.
scene of like, Joel's a construction man.
Yep.
I mean, this is one of those scenes where, like, if it hit the cutting room floor, I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah,
but also
yeah.
don't really care. It's not a bad scene. It's just like kind of.
This scenario where you're getting called up and filled in on all of the scenes. You're getting live reports about what scenes are being edited
Do you
out.
care about this,
Hey,
Greg?
Greg.
or-
Now, I know you haven't seen any of it yet, but we're
Oh, there
cutting
you
us
go.
out a scene where basically this happens.
Yeah, no, you can leave that. You can call me up.
It's like it's like 3 a.m. here.
I can edit this
Oh,
show.
what?
I can edit this fucking show. I want to get on the writing staff. If anyone
Yes.
is
Yeah.
for season 3, get me on the writing staff. I got some ideas, man.
If anyone knows Craig Mazin,
yeah.
put him through. I think the therapy scene's right after that. So I'm glad we stopped and talked about that completely unnecessary scene.
Let's talk about this therapy scene.
Let's talk about this. So yeah, this is Gail. This is the great comic actress Catherine O'Hara. And she starts the sesh off with a whiskey, which we find out later is because it's her birthday and her husband's dead. And it's the first one she's having without him, she says, right?
Yeah. I feel like this character in this scene is kind of filling the hole left in the HBO Sunday night schedule by the departure of Parker Posey and the White Lotus last week.
Right.
This
We've got to have
therapist
another
just getting
Christopher Guest.
sloshed.
Yeah. I don't know. What did you guys think of this scene?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it because it was. I actually really like this scene, and it's this totally new thing. I like the fact that we see that there's like, you know, people from the past have, you know, like she obviously was a therapist back in the day.
Yeah.
So like might as well use that, and then also like, but you know, without money, she's trading therapy for weed and drinking whiskey and whatever.
I also just really like this thing of like, yeah, of course, obviously, back in the day, being drunk during a therapy session would probably be cause for me to, you know, have my license revoked or whatever.
Right.
But now it's like I just do whatever the fuck I want at work. Like who are you? What board are you going to report me to?
Sure.
Yeah.
Especially considering what she reveals about her relationship to Joel later on. It's like,
Right.
if she's not going to care about anyone, it's him.
I'm having to
that's-
counsel the man who shot my husband in the head.
And
Right.
that's the thing that I think is really, really good is in that scene is like she openly says that, she puts it out, and it shows like a lot about her character and who she is, and also just the fucking world that they live in where she's like, I hate you. And I don't know what the fuck, who this Eugene is and how he died.
Yeah, no.
It obviously happened in that previous 5 years, and it must have happened the year before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she even says like, and I know that you had no choice.
Yeah.
So
Right.
like she knows that however it happened, whatever happened, it was in a situation where he kind of had to do it. But she can't forgive him, and then doesn't kick him out.
Right.
Like I'm kind of expecting her to go, so fuck off. Like I'm not
Right.
giving you therapy anymore. And then she's like, so tell me what you want to say,
yeah.
and I will help you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I
and
mean, it's
think
like
it shows. Sorry, I think it shows the strength of her character and the strength of like her commitment to being a therapist, even while drunk on whiskey. She's like,
Yeah.
it is my duty to help you. And her belief that like, you know, we have to make things work, and also just showing again in a sort of organic way just how fucked up this world is that they're living in, and how that they have to like, you know, and in season 1, you know, we talk about what Joel did and we never see the full extent of it, but we know that he, you know, was basically a fucking thief and a robber, and like, you know, with a gang. Prior to the start of season 1, but like, you know, prior to this, you know, where we find him in. So we know he's done terrible things, and we know that like most people in that show have probably done at least one terrible thing,
Right.
to survive.
Yeah, just this idea that in this world, like, it's so harsh, but this idea that, you know, the show is kind of all about is that, you know, a lot of humanity always kind of pokes through. I mean, at this point in the timeline of the show, it's like, what, 25 years that this has been going on, which is like a long time, right? And so this idea that, yes, sometimes, you know, whatever was going on with her husband, she knows that Joel had to kill him, but she's still like, she can't just be like, blanket, oh, well, I get that had to happen. It's like, I'm a human being. I'm really sad about it. Like, I've still got this, just because all of this stuff is going on that we're all by now very used to and has become the norm, I still am just a creature that has these like brainwaves of like, I feel sad. I feel angry at you, that like I want to squash down, because it's like, well, what do you do? But I've got to let myself feel them, because there's just no, like, that's being a human being. That's humanity. Like, there's no way to get rid of that part of the brain.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. She knows, she's been doing this shit for long enough to know that Joel is hiding something from her. He's just been talking about classic father-daughter teething issues, you know, troubled teen. Why is she getting grumpy all of a sudden? And she knows there's something much deeper there.
Yeah, doesn't she say something like, is this all you're ever going to talk about?
Right,
It's
right.
like,
Yeah.
what a blessing to be living in the apocalypse and have your, like, worst issue be, me fucking daughter at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's reading those fucking emo mags and she won't play guitar with me anymore.
Yeah, she's really sad because, you know, she's just realizing in this world that One Direction never came to prominence. They
She is realizing that.
They probably all died when they were little babies, and you know, that's just a really hard thing to realize 25 years
But
after.
that would be fine
least-
because the babies are indistinguishable from any other baby. So why would you care?
I just realized too, like, if this is like, because it is 2003, the show, isn't it?
Yeah. I looked it up. So yeah, spot on.
So in the world that they live in, 9/11 is still pretty fresh in their mind.
Oh yeah.
We had a long thing about this last season. I remember we had a long cataloging of things that hadn't happened.
Yeah.
And did we get an email from Josh Earl at one point that was like a long thing about how they go to like a warehouse that's got old CDs in it or something, and how there must have been like heaps of old like Strokes albums, or like the Strokes second album wouldn't have quite come out or something like that. We did have a long cataloging of things that video games
right.
that wouldn't have come out yet, and
Two Girls, One Cup.
Oh, yeah. So they've come off. They're fresh off a fucking disaster, and they're just fucking not again, not another one.
Was it something like that? Like, I mean, Anchorman would have just come out, or
Right.
like this all happened like right before. There would have been like a couple of people that have seen Anchorman in the cinemas, and it just like
That's right. The quote's not really resonating with a lot of people.
yeah. But there are traveling theater troops that go around like doing.
Retelling the story of the Anchorman.
Yeah.
Come see how good I look. They're like,
But yeah, at the end of that very serious therapy scene, all Joel can say is that, because she's like, "Did you do something to her? Like, did you hurt her?" And he's like, "No, I saved her." And walks out. He doesn't tell his little secret. And she swigs some more of that whiskey. And then Dina and Ellie go on patrol, and we get some more of that sweet reckless action that these girls are want to do.
oh yeah, because they're sort of being worded up beforehand, like, hey, you know, no cowboy shit. You're going with these other people. They really look up to you, so you know, go by the book, essentially.
And then they don't.
Yeah.
Because that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of fun. Like, they're like, you know, they're fucking teenagers. They want, and like, it's cool how, like, you know, it shows again, like how they're basically soldiers. Like it's like, you know, it's like soldiers like ideally want to go to combat. Like, they're like, hell yeah, we got 2 clickers. Yeah, we can kill these clickers.
Yeah,
Like, we
because
can
all we're
take them.
doing apart from that is sitting around waiting for combat.
Yeah. Like, I really liked it, like seeing a bear get its guts ripped open.
Oh yeah, that was
Shit like that makes me go fucking yes.
that was fucking cool.
That
They
was-
could have said, because he's in the public domain now, they could have said, by the way, this is Winnie the Pooh. This is actually literally Winnie the Pooh. We don't have to pay rights.
And this scene, and this is what I'm hoping a lot more for. Like, I know I think what's so good about the game and the show is how, like, we're living in this, you know, zombie. Not zombies, but zombies. They're fucking zombies.
They're zombies.
Yeah.
We're living in the zombie apocalypse, but it's not all about the fucking zombies, right? Like, it's about, you know, and half the time it's people, and half the time it's this, and that, you know. But at the same time, I felt like what the season 1 missed. One of my favorite episodes of season 1 was, I think, episode 2 or 3, I forget which one, but the one where they were in the museum and the clickers were there and they're like trying to be quiet.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I
that's
think
two.
that's 2. Yeah, because
2,
3
yeah.
is
Three's
three's
Nick
Bill and
Offerman.
Frank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Three's Bill and Frank. And that scene was so fucking good, right? Like, it was a really like because the greatness of The Last of Us is a great story, but also these great set piece moments of just like action horror.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it's fucking scary. Like where you're in a fucking abandoned building and there's like some bad creatures in there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have loved like fucking make season 1 10 episodes and have one episode where they're just trying to fucking navigate through a building.
Yeah, I remember.
You know, like
I remember
that
with
shit is good, and they handled it so well in that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in this bit, I really liked it. It was tense as. I'm like, fucking, like, you know it's good when you're like, they told you not to go in. And like, you
Yeah.
can handle it.
Yeah.
And then they're going
Yeah.
in, there's two of them, and then she distracts them with the bottle, and she sneaks up and kills one and then falls through the floor. And
Yeah.
then there's a new one, and it's fucking scary. And you see
man.
it for a second in the background. Like,
That was so well done. Like
Yeah.
that's up there with, because like I watch a fair bit of like current horror movies, and like there's not often that like subtle touch anymore. Like there is in some stuff, and that's sick. But like, yeah, man, that I was so sure that we were gonna get a big jump scare when they're upstairs. I was so sure. It's like the camera's hovering in the right point that they're going to look around the corner, and that didn't happen, so I'm still really tense. She falls through the floor. I'm like, oh, shit, here we fucking go. And then, yeah, that playing out of the stalker was, masterful. So well done. And
it was...
My girlfriend was doing the fucking looking through the fingers thing.
Yeah. And I hope the show has more of that in it, because it's like they've done it so well when they've done it. And, you know, with the game, the genius of the game is like that you're tense because you're literally trying to sneak around and kill them. And like, yeah, give us some good horror action set pieces.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll have a bit more kind of threaded through in this season, because I remember at the time we found it a little bit when we were talking about it on the pod, the kind of the pivot from episode 3 being this like very sweet love story, and it's something that, you know, this guy that you see very briefly in the game, but this really fleshed out thing. And then I think it's the episode after where they're in the city, and then there's the big thing where all of the mutated ones come out from the underground, and it kind of felt very jarring to kind of just all of a sudden have this like this tonal shift, because it was still so early on in the series of this like intense kind of, you know, really full on sort of action stuff. So I wonder if now that we've seen a whole season and they kind of know what people respond to, if there'll just be a bit more of, because I remember reading that they in season 1 they did want to kind of back away from doing anything that was too much like a, you know, they didn't want to feel like they were just recreating set pieces from the video game, because it is a different format. So let's focus more on character and dialogue and interactions and stuff. But maybe they've got the confidence now to sort of thread this stuff through a little bit more.
Well, and that's the thing. And the genius of the game is that, like, take the story away and it's like, make it a generic shit story. It's still a fucking amazing game, gameplay wise. And then also make it a shit game and it's still an amazing story.
Yeah.
But, I think that scene in particular in season 1, to me, like the scene where they all jump out of the hole and everything, I think that maybe what I'm thinking is like, I think the show does better and will do better with, you know, because, you know, there are things in games where it is unbelievable when you're fighting off like 600 zombies with like, you know, six guns, and you're pulling shit that just wouldn't happen in real life. That scene maybe, and I mean, I know this is sort of getting to the game, but it's not a spoiler or anything because we're talking about season 1. But when you see like the big one come out, like the bloater, like the big, I could have done without that, because it just seems a bit like in a game you need a boss,
right? Yeah.
Right.
No, totally, yeah.
But you don't need. I think like focus more on the tense horror stalking. You know, 1 or 2 guys in a building, good. Hordes and hordes, maybe not as good.
Yeah, and I mean, they've got a big budget, but they've still got a big budget for like TV, right? It still is essentially a TV budget. So if you're smart about doing it in confined spaces and the dark and everything, like you can really, and you are right, Greg, like that you strip out either element and it's still, either side of it is still like fantastic. Like, you can have it be a shit game and it's still a great story. And like, I loved this episode, but I will say it was a terrible game. Like, I had the controller in my hand and like every now and then it would be responsive, but I was like moving the stick and the characters on the screen weren't doing the stuff that I was like pushing the buttons for.
Yeah,
so, but I still loved the episode in spite of the fact that it was a very bad gaming experience.
I think the issue there is that it is like it is a TV show, right? So what's happened is your controller has nothing to do with what that's pre-filmed. That's pre-filmed.
It's Last of Us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm pulling the plug on this riff.
Because I thought I keep seeing that it's $90, and then I saw Max for $6 a month, and I thought, oh fuck yeah, I'll just do that.
Nintendo would never. No, so yeah, the point of that scene as well, and again, you kind of forget this having played the games, but like, this is the first time that they're encountering a smart zombie, which, like, I guess poses some kind of, and there was something else that happens at the end of this episode that I'm like, I don't know if I need this to be a focus, but there's a smart zombie. They tell the council. The council's like, well, Dina was just lying to back up Ellie, but I think Ellie was telling the truth. We got a smart little creeping around zombie here.
Well, and she gets bit again.
Oh, and she gets bit again. Yeah. But as we've been reminded in this beautifully written show that no one knows that she's immune, and she covers up the bite. And
see, actually, now that I think about it, that would have been better to just like even take out the scene where she yells, "I'm immune."
Yeah,
right. That she immediately covers up the bite to Dina.
Yeah.
To a like we already know as her best friend. Now we know immediately that this is not common knowledge.
Even she doesn't know.
And her using the knife is very, very clear visually.
Yep.
And if you don't get that, then go watch bloody Desperate Housewives. Desperate Beverly Wives.
Yeah.
That's what you're getting out of this show. You're getting a thorough discussion of every episode of The Last of Us, and also some great recommendations for other shows. Third Rock from the Sun, Desperate Housewives, some side viewing.
Also, I've confused Desperate Housewives with the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is what I was trying to say.
The Desperate Lives of Mormon Wives. Go watch that shit, you fucking loser.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't want to see a chick stabbing herself in the stomach, then go and watch fucking Below Deck, Lauren.
Then they have the council. Then it was like Ellie with just in her room.
She's like, dude, she's
music.
journaling. She's journaling about the day, and I love this moment. I thought this was really cute, writing down a little just writing down one of the riffs that she had with Dina about barbecue, and then she's writing basically, don't fuck this up. And gets interrupted by Joel, barges in, immediately turns on all the room lights, which
such a dumb move. Fucking hell.
Ah, you fuckhead.
This is a lamp only residence.
Yeah.
No big lights. But he's like, hey, how are you? How you going, daughter? Oh, your guitar needs to be restrung. I'll do that right now.
I better do it right now in the middle of the night. I'd better restring that guitar that's just tossed on the floor. You clearly really need it.
I think there's a moment where she's like, I don't know, the look that she gives him is a little bit like, I kind of want to forgive you, or like, I kind of want to, like, there's a moment where she's like, you see empathy and sympathy, and like, she's like, I know he's trying to help.
Yeah, exactly. Like, She's like, don't, because he's like, are you going to the dance? Which we know that she is, and she's like, oh, I don't know, maybe, no, maybe, I don't know.
And he's like, oh, it'd be good to show your face. And it's kind of really like, it does feel like he wants to give her a space and everything, but he just kind of can't help himself going dad mode of like, hey, this is an event that it's important to be at. Making sure that you're going to go there. You've got this obligation.
But yes, I think the act of like, I'm gonna fix your guitar. She's like, you're right, Greg. There's a bit of like, I get that he just wants to help. Like, I understand. I get this. And then they go fucking dancing. And so my partner Bridget, she's never played the games, but she was like, I've seen the dance scene, I've seen the cut scene of this, and it's like it's spot on. Like it doesn't all have to be a perfect recreation, but this pretty much was.
This
memory.
felt like I haven't watched it in a bit, but this moment is like my favorite moment from the game, and I remember at the time I couldn't believe how like emotional I was getting about this scene in a game that is, and it's like such a testament to the like. I remember when it came out, the incredible like facial animations and how real and believable that felt. And so I was kind of rapt that they did, because they haven't tended to do a lot of stuff like one for one. They'll do like moments, and obviously the story pretty closely follows along, but this felt like dialogue wise to me like it was pretty much
it was pretty
exactly
much
how I remembered it.
It's the same as the game, and like that's just a thing of like, you know, when you nailed it, like you don't need to fuck with it when you've nailed it. Like it was a great scene, and they just went, like the scene's great.
One for one, but still its own take on it. Like, they're at the dance, and Dina and Ellie are having this slow dance, and
they make out, they start scissoring.
That I don't remember being in the game. Well,
like,
I modded it, but
and it was like, I was like, like that guy's right. This is a family event. You can't be like scissoring.
We also learned that Jesse and Dina were dating.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
and that's the breakup that I think Dina or Jesse, one of them had referenced. We didn't know who it was though, but they were together. They're not anymore. But
that moment of
and Jesse didn't seem to mind. He was and she said, "You'll be back together," and he went, "No, we won't." And he didn't seem to mind about that. Like it seemed like it was like, we're over and it's fine. And then they make out, and then the old man is like, "You are disgusting." And Ellie fires up and Joel goes psycho.
Yeah.
If my mates get in on the 3rd of May, we'll be lining people like you up in the streets.
This was the one difference, because a therapist lady didn't exist in the game. We see her for a moment looking at Joel, and I think in this moment she knows not exactly what he's done, but what he's done. He's hurt someone else to protect her, in a way that she's upset with. She sees that and she's like, I know. I reckon she's like, I know what's happened, basically.
This is a microcosm.
I know the broad strokes of what has happened.
This is a recreation of whatever happened in a more small scale way.
Yes.
And is it bad that I'm like, Joel did the right thing in this scene?
Yes and no. I mean, it's like, like that guy, like, he deserves a smack in the mouth.
Yeah.
But Ellie is also like, I mean, she like, she was like gonna handle it. I think she's like upset that he didn't let her handle it. Like she is an adult. Like she was gonna handle it, and she could have fucking taken this guy.
Yeah, that's true.
And B, like, there's, someone can be in the wrong and then you're still in the wrong. I don't know. It's like, two wrongs don't make a right, but it's like, there's this dance going on. She probably would have gone like, "Fuck you, you're a cockhead, fuck off," and then she would have been satisfied with that. They still all have to live together in this fucking community, and Joel has now like.
He's made a scene.
Pushed a really old man down hard.
That's
the
true.
dance is ruined. And the old guy would start it. He's a cunt. Like, he's a piece of shit. But
and you're a young person kind of coming to grips with your sexuality, and then this guy fucking has a crack And there, there might be some other people in that hall that maybe feel that same way. And so you're a little bit, on edge and you feel like you're in the spotlight and getting this like negative attention. And then all of a sudden someone coming in and like pushing him over and now everyone notices it. So now the spotlight is really, really, really on you in a much more extreme way than it was when it was just like a terse one-on-one interaction.
Yeah,
Right.
totally. And it's the kind of thing where she was clearly like, I want to handle this my way.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not your prerogative to handle it in a different way.
Yeah, don't fight my
And
battles for me kind of
Don't
thing.
fight my battles for me. And also like, pure speculation, but it's like, it's proportional. Like he said some mean shit to me. I'm going to say some mean shit to him.
Yeah. I've had to leave a lot of parties.
But yeah, I just loved that moment in the game and here. And again, two different reads on it. And just like you're right, Greg, when you've nailed it, you've nailed it. Like just literally that I always just have found that moment just broke me in the game when he just looks around and goes, right, and just walks off. And again, like not, I wonder if there was any temptation at any point with writing the episode to go about it in a different way or have a bit, but it's like, no, all you need is, one word and a look and just that, I've really fucked up here. She doesn't need me anymore. Like I've sort of set myself so much further back in repairing things with her. Like,
Right, exactly.
oh man, fucking great stuff. I was so rapt to see that they just really just allowed themselves to go like, yeah, you know what? Let's just recreate it with real people this time.
And then basically that's it. Ellie goes home. Joel is on the patio, tuning the guitar up,
They
giving a
share
little
look.
strum.
She leaves.
Yep.
With this little outdoor heater.
And then we see a little two little tantalizing little morsels. Two tantalizing morsels. We see a pipe, the broken pipe with the thing, but hang on a second. Those aren't just regular roots. Those are tendrils.
Those are fucking... Those are zombie tentacles.
Tentacles, which the zombies can understand. They, like the tendrils pick up vibrations. I think that's how it works. It's like...
Well, this is the slippery slope that they're always talking about. You know, you let a bit of snogging and scissoring happen at the community dance, and then next thing you know,
Fucking zombies everywhere.
Zombies are crawling through the
and
pipes.
they're marrying dogs. and then we cut from that to scene overlooking on the big hill. It's Abby.
Yeah,
Abby's back.
Abby's back.
Abby's back. Cut to credits. Bang. That's the end of the episode.
And let's talk about those credits. Let's talk about
Does
each name individually.
Okay.
Does she say? I can't remember if she says this at the very end or at the end of the scene at the start, where she's like, "We're gonna kill him, and we're gonna kill him really slowly."
She says that at the start.
Yeah.
Right.
And at the end, she goes, "Now it's time to rock and roll."
Yeah, remember what I said earlier? Remember what?
Fucker.
Remember
throws
what
up
I
his
said
devil
5
horns.
years ago? I have not changed my mind at all, and in fact, if anything, I'm now more resolute in my. Yeah.
It's time to kill this cunt. And it's weird how the scene goes for like 20 minutes and it's just her saying cool line after cool line.
Yeah.
And then just like waiting for the perfect one to end the scene. But,
She's
eventually
doing the
she
whole
goes,
monologue about Sex Panther that she's heard from the traveling theatre troops.
Yeah. 60% of the time that I killed Joel, it works every time.
And that's Ep 1.
Yeah. Good shit.
Overall, good ep. I like
Great
it.
ep. Really enjoyed
I
it.
like the episode.
Well, do you want to now talk a little bit about what we think in relation to
Please,
the game?
I have really got some big thoughts.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you're just watching, if you're only watching the show, if you've never played The Last of Us Part 2, then duck out now because we will be talking about stuff that is from the game that may spoil some stuff coming up in the show. So if that's
Yes.
you, thank you for joining us.
There will be major spoilers.
Yes. And I will say, if you want to send in your thoughts,
Oh yeah.
you can do so filthycasualspod@gmail.com or Instagram. We're still on Facebook for some reason, but you can get your thoughts to us. If there's spoiler thoughts, put spoiler at the start because we'll read them at the end of the episode. But we'll probably do some mail at this point in future episodes. So get your thoughts in. Let us know how you felt about this episode and the next one. If you get it in before we record the day after. So keen to hear what everyone's thinking. But we are officially in the classified section.
Yeah, Greg, have you got like a big long wet one there that you can just give us a nice long cue for people?
I've got so many sounds. I'm trying to find.
Oh yeah, okay. yes.
This is spoiler country.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd love it if my asshole could produce that sound. There we go.
Hang on. So we
Greg, come on. This is a family event.
I'm not doing it. Okay. All right. Okay. Spoilers. This is spoiler country.
All right, so you got some big thoughts, Greg.
Yeah. Fuck this episode. Fuck this fucking shit. They've ruined the game. No, I do have some big everything I said is true that I love this episode and I love the show, and they've made changes throughout season 1 that I'm not someone who cares about a change for the sake of a change.
Right.
Right, like you're making a game into a TV show. There's going to be things you have to change, and sometimes there's things that you just want to change. I think in season 1 it was cool. Like they never did any of this in the game, but it was cool when you just see like the guys talking on the news.
I
woman
loved
in
all that
Indonesia,
stuff.
little
Yeah.
backstory stuff. I think it was cool.
Yep,
One
agreed.
change I didn't like in season 1 was seeing basically how Ellie is immune. Because it's the same. It's the kind of like it's the Star Wars midi-chlorians thing, where it's like if you try and explain it too much, then you start to go, hang on a second. Like if we just go like it's a freak thing and she's immune, cool.
Yep.
Like in the game, that's all we know is like for some reason she's a fucking unicorn who's got some genetic thing and she's immune.
Yep.
But when it's like a pregnant woman was bitten and the baby was born before she turned.
Yes.
It's like, well, hang on, has that never happened before?
I think that's what we
and
were
how does
talking
that
about
hap-
as
you
well,
know?
yeah.
It's like, don't try and explain it away. It's like, it doesn't have to be explained.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
But then like a good change, there's plenty of good changes in season 1. Like for example, and the show in general, they removed the concept of spores.
Right.
Which because in the game you'd go into a room and they go, there's spores, and everyone has to put on their gas mask.
Yeah.
If that were true, everyone's fucked. Like,
Yeah,
how is it
yeah.
like? And then you walk out and take off your gas mask, there'd be spores all over your clothes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
if you think
and
about it
well-
for a second, it makes no sense.
I feel
Sure.
like they talked to in the making of the show, the like, you're right, Greg, but also from a filmmaking point of view, it was like, well, we got these fucking actors. We don't want to have them have gas masks on
for
for
ages,
like
yeah.
60% of the show. So it was like
Yeah.
a stylistic thing that also does just,
Yeah.
make sense.
And you know, I've been
world.
saying this for about 5 years. Masks don't actually do anything, you know. So
Yeah.
That's the only
Don't
reason you
bother
wanted to bring this pod back. You didn't even
Yeah.
That's right.
want to talk about the show.
Yeah.
You just wanted to get the politics in
I
there.
didn't even watch it. I just read the recap then.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everyone no.
I,
And showing sports, having every scene have to have floating green spores in the air and gas masks. Yeah, it's like okay, just logistically and for the presentation of the show.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
fine.
And
Don't need
also, yeah, I think like I just think it was like a mistake in the game to have
Right.
spores as a thing. I just think
Yeah.
it just made no sense to me that like we're seeing spores. Surely like you're breathing them in before you like
Yeah, if it's airborne, it's not a door.
If it's airborne, everyone's fucked. Like it's over.
Yeah,
Like it's
totally.
absolutely over.
There's a slight breeze and everyone's dead. Like, yeah,
Like it makes no fucking sense.
yeah,
So, you know, there's a bunch of changes, and like the whole change to Bill, like in the game, Bill and Frank hated each other by the end, and
Right.
Frank killed himself.
Right.
And Bill was like, "Yeah, you fucking piece of shit." Like it was. I think that was a cool change. The change that I really didn't like in this one, and I think it's a change. I think it's a bad change, not because it's just different, but because it kind of wrecks to me what was so good about the second game. For me, the reason that the story was so amazing, right, is we pretty much open on Abby. I can't remember how it opens. Like, I know there's Joel in two scene, like a scene that didn't happen, where Joel finds a guitar and he's on the horse with Tommy, and we open on Abby and we control Abby going through the snow.
yeah.
In that moment, we have no idea who Abby is. We don't really know what she's wanting. We see her struggling. We literally control her. We're rooting for her. We like Abby. She's trying to get away from these fucking zombies. Joel comes in. Joel helps her. They fight together. They get out together. And then she's like, "Oh, thank you so much. I'm Abby." And then he's like, "I'm Joel." And then she beats him to death with a golf club.
Yeah.
And we now fucking hate Abby. And still, we don't know why she beat Joel to death with a golf club. I mean, we know Joel's done a lot of stuff. At this point, it has not been explained where she's from, who she's from, like whatever.
Yep.
And to me, and the entire time, and I could be getting this wrong, like, you know, it's sort of revealed in little bits and dribs and drabs, but the entire time you're controlling Ellie and Dina as they search for Abby, you fucking hate Abby.
Yeah.
Like, you
absolutely.
don't, you have no idea what, like, and you don't know why, and it's not until halfway through the game that suddenly it flips, and suddenly you control Abby as a teenager with her dad, her wonderful, caring dad who helps as like an animal and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then you
I'm-
see her dad get murdered in cold blood, you know, when he's unarmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you're like, okay, well, like, I mean, this kind of makes sense. And then you have to control Abby. What I don't like about this, the adding of the scene at the start is like, no longer is there any mystery. And to me, it kind of ruins the fact that, like, I think Joel's death should have come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
I think that is why the game is so good, is because it came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Because it was totally
yeah.
unexpected, and it wasn't, like, we now know, we've had this whole episode setting up, there's someone out to get Joel, and we know who it is. We don't know, you know, at this point, we don't know specifically that her dad was the doctor. I don't think they explained that.
No.
But she said, "I want to kill him. I want to kill him slow." We know that she wants revenge. We know that, like, we have sympathy for her and her friends a little bit, because, like, we see them burying all these people and they don't seem like terrible people.
Yeah.
And I think that's the wrong choice. I just think that, like, and I know that, like, you know, with the game, it's like one game and this is split into 2 seasons. But I think it would have been a bolder choice to, like, literally just have Abby be this big villain for the entire season.
Yeah, I think we were
And
really
then flip
wondering.
it in season 2.
Yeah, we were wondering how they were going to do this, because it seemed really difficult to pull off. That you would do 10 episodes following Ellie and having that mystery, because I think in the game they're speculating, like, oh, you know, he was a smuggler. It must have been something in his past that, you know, that they've wanted to get revenge for. And we don't know what it's for, and we don't know where they're from. We don't know that they were Fireflies. We think they're just wolves because they've joined the militia. And it is, yeah, you're right. It's revealed so much further down the track. And so it was going to be, I thought it was going to be an interesting challenge for them to do that in that structure. And I completely agree. I don't think that this is the right choice. If it's 2 seasons where it's the end of the season isn't that fulcrum point, it's just we're cutting back and forth and it all plays out simultaneously, potentially, then yeah, it removes probably the best and most interesting storytelling aspect of the second game.
Yeah, that's what I think. It's like it's not like a twist per se, because like obviously she wanted revenge on him. Like whoever, in the game we know, like whoever she is, she's fucking mad at him.
Yeah.
and whatever. But like, so it's not like a twist that, someone she loved died, but it is like, I guess, a big reveal that it was Ellie in the hospital and all that precipitated it.
Yes.
And it is like, to me, it was such good storytelling. And it's also why like a lot of like nerds hated the game. But to me, it was such good storytelling that you suddenly have to play as this person you've been trying to kill for the half the game, who you hate, and now you have to play as her and see her perspective. And that to me was what made it from like a really good story to like a next level story.
Yeah. Which is hard because obviously like you can't do that in this. And I think I'm gonna hold off judgment until we kind of see how it actually plays out, because I will say like it starting on that, I was really like, fuck, okay, I kind of really respect how bold this is, like as the decision of like, they know that a sizable portion of the audience watching have played the game, and so just like straight away going, hey, we're doing this in a completely different way for this. And like I would be interested to know like how many different versions of this they kind of went through, and obviously it would have been a massive discussion for them about like how do we do this in a way that is satisfying to just a viewer when we've lost the element of like that storytelling side of it as you playing as Abby. Like how do we make it an interesting take for people who've already interacted with the game, and how do we also make it interesting for people who are coming to it fresh? Because I guess without that setting up, you then are kind of left with an episode where you're just having a lot of people hang out in the town, and there's not like, without that I could see it being a bit like, well, where's the forward momentum here? Like, what are we doing? Are we just watching their life in this town now?
That's the other thing that I didn't like is because like, and it's the thing where like obviously in the game you play as Abby and you don't need that, but like literally just, I think they should have shown it in a way that like they just show Ellie's story and then they show Abby's story as like, you could do it two seasons. Like you could just.
Yeah.
But like,
I think in the end that's what I was expecting them to do. It's like, it might be a challenging thing to have the third season be following a different protagonist, but hey, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, they've done the bottle episodes before a lot, so they, it felt like that would be maybe a way that they would do it, where all of a sudden we would go all the way back and we would see Abby all the way through, which may still happen, but
Well, exactly, and the other thing is like, I just think it's like, but even for the game, like the game is still, a movie with playable elements, like at the end of the day, if you think about it, right? And like, it's still like, I don't think fundamentally you need to change the structure. Like there's obviously going to be things when you adapt something that you need to change, but like structure wise, it was a bold choice and it was a controversial choice. Like some people hated it.
Yeah.
But I think that's what made it so good, was that they didn't, because they could have done that in the game just the same. They could have had the opening scene of the game being Abby going, let's kill him slow. Like all that could have just happened in the game, but they chose not to, because they thought it would be a bolder choice to like just hate Abby for half the story and then find out Abby's backstory.
I wonder how much of this has been influenced by by some of the negative response that some people had.
Yeah, well, maybe, but also, and this is the other thing that I would have made as a major change that I'm not too disappointed yet, but I will be if it doesn't happen in episode 2. I think Joel should have been killed in the first 20 minutes.
I certainly thought, but once we got about halfway through, I was like, oh, okay, so they're going to end the episode with Joel getting killed.
Yeah.
And felt a little unfulfilled when that didn't happen because it feels like a bit of a cop-out because it's like, well, yeah, sure, you know, Pedro Pascal's the star, the co-lead, like people love him. That's why it worked in the game because people love Joel and it was a shock and it made
I completely agree,
want revenge.
I'm happy to give them the leeway with the structuring of it, but I completely agree that like that impact of just like so early on him being gone is like that's to me that's a non-negotiable about the story.
It's kind of the whole point because the entire story is revenge and like the cost of revenge and what that means. You know, Abby gets her revenge immediately, and when you take out the actual physical gameplay of walking around and all the rest of it, Joel gets killed so early in the game.
Yeah,
like if you just watch the cutscenes. It's like 10 minutes in. Like
you basically do a tutorial. It's just all kind of tutorializing up until that point, essentially.
Yeah. And Joel gets killed like almost immediately.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of flashbacks of Joel and Ellie's relationship and that unfolding. But Joel gets fucking killed straight away.
And it's brutal, but it's like I just remember being like, this is just so insanely impactful, and I've never seen something like the rug pulled out from under me like that. And like, I agree. I want to see people who aren't familiar with the story, like have that moment. Like it has the potential to be a real, like, you know, Red Wedding style thing where people afterwards are going, Jesus fucking Christ, what was that? Like, and I don't want them to like kind of have their cake and eat it too and have it threaded along for too much and we see we see a whole Abby flashback episode next week and then
I'm worried that because it feels like they've gone with introducing Abby's backstory and with not killing Joel in episode 1. Honestly it's like the dance scene, right? There's some things where it's like, if you get it right, don't mess with it. I would have just fucking opened season 2 on like Abby in the snow finding the village.
Yeah.
Who's Abby? We don't know, you know. Cut to, the village, Ellie having the fight, you can keep a lot of that stuff in, them going out on patrol. Maybe they come back and maybe he dies at the end of the episode or whatever. Right. But like, they have to run out. You could have the dance scene as a flashback. I don't know, like in the second episode. But like, I would have opened with Abby in the snow, looking at the village, and then it all unfolds. There's a Joel helps Abby escape from clickers. Joel gets killed.
Yeah.
And the episode ends with like Joel being killed.
And the episode's a minute and a half long, and it's just literally him getting his head caved in with a golf club, and that's it.
Yeah.
And they show it on screen.
Yeah.
No, I agree, and I think that they've done what they've done to be a bit more palatable. I think for broader audiences and people who, because people also hate. They didn't just hate Abby. And that switch, they found a lot of gamers found really difficult to come to terms with. They fucking hated that Joel died. Yeah. Like they hated Druckmann for fucking killing off their favorite old daddy character. Like they really, a lot of people hated that. Yeah. And but I loved it. Like you said, for all the reasons you guys have said, it was such a fascinating, like innovative twist in the way they were going to tell this story that I didn't see coming. And people should struggle with that. Like that's the point of the story.
The whole point of the story. They hate it. Yeah. I hated it, which is why I wanted revenge and why I wanted Ellis to succeed. Yes. And why I was like hooked on the game from minute 1. And people hated it, but also it's a fucking like ultra high selling game. The reviews, it was critically acclaimed.
But you're meant to hate it. You're not meant to feel good about this guy that you played as for the entire first game getting offed in the first that's the thing when people are like mad about it. It's like, no, you're meant to be mad about this. Like you're meant to feel shitty about it.
Stories can make you feel bad. It's not. That's okay.
And like you're meant to be mad when Ned Stark gets his head cut off. Like you're meant to be mad at the Red Wedding, and that's what I think And that's what I worry about. Like, and again, like I agree with you, Tommy. Like, I'm willing to give it like leeway, and I'm sure it'll be good, because again, like if the game had been structured this way, you know, with like giving Abby's backstory, we already know from minute one that she wants revenge on Joel for what he did at the thing. If we knew that from the start of the game, it still would have been a good game.
Yeah.
I think the story was, you know, I think what made the story to me so impactful was the finding out. It's the moment of, and it's something that Game of Thrones really fumbled the ball with a great idea that they handled poorly, which was you know, when Daenerys goes crazy and kills everyone, and there was a line that was like good, but it was like bad because they just fucked up the whole last season, where like Peter Dinklage, what's the character's name? Tyrion.
Yep.
Where he's like, yeah, dude, she crucified like 100 people. Like, like, what do you, like, she hasn't, and what, people were mad because it was like, they want the Darth Vader switch, where it's like, I'm the good character, and then a thing happens and I become the bad character. And then it was kind of like, no, she's always been fucking evil.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In season one, she burned a woman at the stake.
Yeah.
For killing her husband, but that's because her husband had her gang raped.
Yeah. Yeah.
That woman was right to do so. Like the Dothraki are terrible people.
Yeah.
Like they're keeping slaves, they're raping people. Like
You're right. Yeah, it is a bit of a weird, like, it's almost like having opening on Abby. And this is the hard thing about, you know, serving two different audiences. It did, like, I was like, oh, interesting, okay. And it does almost feel like it is in there more to show people who've played the game, like, hey, pretty wild move on our part, right? We're opening on this. And in doing so, you're denying that other audience the kind of, the fresh eye approach to, like, the experience that we had with that story of playing the game, like when you're telling it in a different way, because like, you've lost the interactivity, but as you say, Greg, that complete reveal was super impactful, even outside of just the level of interactivity of it. Like if you just literally if you just got all the cutscenes from The Last of Us 2 and just took out the gameplay and just watched them, it still is that narrative where you don't know what Abby's thing is, and like you hate her, and then suddenly you like her, or like you understand her, you know, and like I just don't think what I loved about The Last of Us, and this is what I always said about it, was like, and it was like, if this was a show, it would be one of my favorite shows,
right,
because it's still like, from a storytelling and filmmaking perspective, like there's nothing about it that, like, you know, like it's one of the only games where I'm like, oh, like even if I just watch the cutscenes, I'd be like, yeah, cool, this is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, what I'm saying is, like, the medium doesn't have to change that much.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to do that many changes when it's still a traditional story with a beginning and a middle and an end and a
supporting
story.
cast and
the
like,
way
interesting
that
arcs,
the way that they structured that story, and they've just changed the structure of it, and I think they've changed the structure. I just think they've changed it to be safe.
I completely
and I don't
agree.
think they needed to do that for so many reasons. Partly because what made it good was that it was good. Partly because it's fucking HBO.
Well, and case
people
in
are going to
point,
watch
like
it.
that dance scene. You know, you've got that now told basically the same way twice. You know, it's a video game cutscene, but you're able to just use actors and do the exact same scene, and it doesn't feel like, well, this is weird. This is people pretending that they're in a fucking video game. It's like,
right.
You know, it resonated
totally.
in the game, and it resonates exactly the same as a filmed.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so enjoyable seeing the reaction to the end of the first season, because, like, it's a tough moment that people have to reckon with as viewers, and it's a moral question that doesn't have an answer, and it's interesting and intelligent, and that was what was also good about the second season, except they baked it into the structure of the story, like
Right.
that. Yeah, you're right. I don't love that they've removed that element from it potentially for this new audience, and when potentially not going to see people's reactions to all of a sudden you're Abby, like that is such a crucial part of that experience. And yeah, I hope we haven't lost it. I think Joel will die in the second episode, but I do still worry about.
He better fucking die.
Better.
If they draw it out to episode 7, they would ruin it.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
like-
The TV viewers having the exact opposite reaction to the gamers, like he
Right.
died too late on. What was the? This is new, right? The tentacle, the little tentacles coming out of the pipe.
Yeah, that was the other
Yeah.
thing I didn't like.
Yeah.
is adding in this threat to the safe place. Like the best thing about Jackson is that it was the one safe place. It was the one haven for them all, where they did feel safe. And I don't know. I don't understand what the point of that is going to be.
I think they're going to set it up. I think they're just trying to set it up in a more like, because in the game, I mean, this is one of the things that I don't know what they're going to do with it exactly, but in the game, like you can kind of just go, because you're like, oh, we want a fun action sequence.
Right.
A horde of zombies is here now. And maybe in the show, they're like, because, you know, in the game, part of the thing with Abby and the whole point of it was Abby is running away from a fucking horde of zombies. Like you're crawling through a fence and you're trying to get it. They're fucking everywhere, and there's not. And then suddenly she bumps into Joel, and he's like, "Come with me, like I'll help you," and blah blah blah. So like there is a big horde. There is a big set piece where there's a massive fucking horde, and they lock themselves in that room and have to fight them off while they, you know, and they're all working together. So maybe that's just what they're setting up. Like
Setting up that there's a threat that he does actually help her from.
The tendrils are like, because they've already set up that the tendrils work as like it can detect movement and whatever,
Right.
So that like zombies from all around just descend on one place.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, you know, they could just be setting up why that fucking horde exists. Because in the game, there's not really any reason other than just they wanted to have a big horde attack.
Yeah.
For an exciting action sequence.
Yeah. That's true.
And Joel, and it made it so much better in that. And again, but you know, going back to what like I was just totally like rooting for Abby and going, yeah, I hope she gets her out all right. Blah, blah, blah. And,
Yeah.
you know, but either way, like if they tell the story of the game, you know, if they just basically tell the story just cutting between Abby and Ellie's stories, that'll be good. Like it just won't be like it'll be good. It'll be really good. Like they're both like it's a good story, and they could have done it that way in the game, and it would have been good. Like it would have been a good story and interesting. I just think that by splitting them into and telling Ellie's story in total, and then telling Abby's story in total, is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it'll like, but you know, if they do it concurrently, where it's like, you know, telling, you know, the advantage when you tell, and having said all this, the advantage when you tell a concurrent story where you have Abby's journey and Ellie's journey together is that you can have that constant, rather than having like, I'm all in for Ellie and I want Ellie to succeed, and then flipping and seeing Abby's point of view. You can have that constant back and forth of like, who do I care about? Like, oh, now I want Ellie, and now, you know, but that can be harder to do. I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. And also, just the other thing too is like, just thinking about, I know this is 7 episodes. I assume the next one's 7 episodes. Man, there's a lot of ground to cover. And part of the other reason I was like annoyed that they didn't kill Joel in episode 1 is like, I know how much stuff there is, and I'm like,
I mean, I liked everything. I agree with what you guys were saying about the scene where she's being stalked by the clicker. I did enjoy that, but I felt like that went for a long time, and that's the thought I was having with that was like, man, there's a lot of ground to cover in, like I said, I was the same. I thought they'll get to killing Joel at the end of the episode, but just across the season, there's going to be so much to cover. And then there's just this like real early on this like, you know, slow kind of like stalking around this building. I was like, fuck, how are they going to get through all this shit?
Well,
But-
that's the other thing. Like, I mean, the two things I thought watching it was like, one, I mean, yeah, I know it's TV and they got a budget, but also they got HBO budget and
Yeah.
like they've got like what they already know is $1 billion IP.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you could make 8 episodes. You could make the first episode an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, there were definitely scenes like I thought, like that whole scene where he's like talking about the refugees in construction. You could just cut that. Like, you
Yeah,
could-
yeah.
Like that's the scene I wouldn't cut just because, but because I said it before. Like, I mean, I don't feel like there was enough of that good,
Sure,
like
sure.
tense stuff. Yeah, I think the scene, you know, with Dina and like. And I mean, a lot of that stuff could have been like flashbacks as well, because that was a great thing about the game is like it kept going to flashbacks of the town life. But I think there were a few scenes they could have cut. They could have made the episode a bit longer.
Put the 25-minute snowball fight from the game back in.
Oh, yeah.
And Dina's going, you have to use the control stick to look down. It's like, what are you fucking talking? Okay.
Hey, they did it. They perfectly recreated one scene from the game. Why not two?
Yeah.
So this is a little concerning. In some ways, it's encouraging. So Craig Mazin himself has said that within the series of The Last of Us TV, there are 1 or 2 more seasons before reaching the end of The Last of Us Part 2. So we might get 2 seasons we might get 2 seasons, even if it's told concurrently, that play out, this story. Which, I don't know.
Two more seasons.
Yes, 1 or 2 more seasons.
Interesting.
So it could be 2 more after this season.
Yeah, because I mean, when you think about how it's paced, there's like, and I haven't played it for a few years, but there's like her pursuing Abby, then there's you playing as Abby, then there's that confrontation, then there's like all the bit where they've like moved to the farm and she goes back. Like I could see that being its own, where then you really flesh that time out in between, and like I would be okay with that as long as they do find ways to thread new stuff in and make it feel like it is a satisfying ending to a season of TV. I mean, we'll feel like, oh, we just want to see more of the story and we want to see the next bits, but as long as they're doing interesting enough stuff in it.
Well, the tricky thing is whether or not they have the whole big story of the Seraphites, and that could almost be like, because that's a fucking like that in and of itself can be a season where like you could functionally change the structure so like seasons 1 and 2 really are just about the Ellie, Abby, revenge, Seattle, everything. And then you could, like, if they put me on as writer, which I think they will.
I think they will,
You could, like, another way to structure it could be to have like, you know, you basically like Ellie, like after the scene where Abby, you know, shoots what's Joel's brother Tommy in the head and kills
Jesse.
Yeah. And they just basically give up and go back home. You know, and that was what was so great about the game, is like she's accepted it, she's back home. But then when Tommy comes in and goes, I got a lead on where she is.
Yeah.
She just cannot fucking resist. Like it's obviously quite some time has passed.
Yeah.
But she has to go back. So you could literally have a season 3 where like most of the story is just Abby and the Seraphites, and we cut to Ellie just living the quiet life on the farm.
Yeah.
Thinking that that's all right, and then at the end she's like, nah, and then it happens. You know? You could do that, and I think that would be all right.
That would be cool. I mean, would that, if you're a viewer and at that point takes them a little while to make these seasons too. I wonder if that's like the timeline of in real world time, how much has elapsed. You know what I mean? Would people be a bit like, fucking hell, this has been dragged? Yeah, who knows? But
yeah. I mean, this quote isn't definitive, but Mazin says like, you don't want to have to wait 4 years for a 17 episode finish or whatever it is. So like clearly they're conscious of it, but also it's like, yeah, they're making a big show, a big, expensive, complicated show. I don't know. And we know so little about how they're actually going to structure it. Like, I think, we're extrapolating a fair bit from what we've seen. And
Yeah, totally. We have no idea.
But they have the benefit too of like this source material is all there for them. So obviously this has all been a discussion of like,
right.
It's not like they're just going like, oh, well, we've run out of episodes, so we'll just wrap it up there and then we'll figure out what to do with the rest. I'm sure they've got an idea of like, this chunk is 3 and we could get into all this stuff. This chunk is 4 and we could get into all this stuff and add this stuff. And maybe by then these pricks have gotten off their fannies and made a third fucking video game that we can draw some stuff from.
But that's
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day though, it's like anything, right? Like I was a big fan of the Lord of the Rings books, and then I watched the movie, and then you watch the movie, and like it's sometimes it's a curse because you're like, I wish I just had never read the books or whatever. Like I wish I could just watch this and just appreciate it for what it is, right? But like when you're adapting a book into a movie, the books are so much longer. Like they're so much longer. Like and there's so many things, you've got a fucking narrator and you've got all this thing. Like but when you're adapting essentially a video game that is basically just a movie, you don't need to make changes unless you just want to. Like there's so little changes that you need to make.
And yeah, like
we
got a great episode in season 1 that was completely, one letter on a desk, and that was a great change because it was a great episode.
Yeah,
and
totally.
it was well done. But
it's like if you want to change it. Like if you got a better idea or whatever,
right?
Like, cool.
Right.
But like if you don't have a better idea, don't just change something for the sake of it when it's worked very well. Like it's critically like absolutely acclaimed. People hold it up as one of the best games, best stories of all time.
Yeah, don't change it because you're worried that your audience won't get it. Or,
Because it's like and I mean I know so many people who have like, friends or partners or whatever who aren't really gamers who like just watched people play The Last of Us because of how good the story is.
Yeah.
I've met people that like literally watched just watch like YouTube compilations of the cutscenes, just to watch the fucking story.
Yeah.
So like the story is solid. The story is like well structured, well written, and it's in functionally the same format.
Yeah.
Apart from like gameplay elements, but like just instead of you controlling Ellie shooting the gun, you watch Ellie shoot the gun. It just doesn't need changes that, there's so few changes that need to happen. It's just about whether you want the changes to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just hope that they want changes to happen for good reasons. And yeah, the Bill episode was a good one. Like it was just a cool thing. Like
Yeah.
I just thought it was completely different to the Bill and Frank relationship. And I think they just did a better job.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was just a good story.
Well, should we wrap it up there? We're going to find all of this out hopefully next week. Hopefully we're sitting here just salivating over the explicit. If I load up Max next week and I don't see an R18 plus rating slapped on that episode, I'll know that they've fucking gone woke and we are. I will not even be I will be cancelling my Max subscription immediately.
Fuck. What about the Righteous Gemstones?
I'll torrent it.
Hopefully we get some positive movement next week. But again, like I said at the start,
some positive bowel movements.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
This is such a great addition to this show.
What if instead of making the clicking noise, they just farted in a really distinct way where you were like, wait, what's that?
Well, I mean, there's an edit that you can put together and chuck up on Instagram. Yeah, like I said, halfway through the ep, get your thoughts through to us. filthycasualspod@gmail.com. filthycasualspod, I think, on Instagram. Whatever, you look us up. We're there. Thank you, Greggy. You can follow Greg. You're just Greg Larsen on everything?
Yeah. What? Oh, yeah. What am I on Instagram? Greg Larsen comedian.
Aren't you
I think
at Greg M. Larsen?
that was on Twitter, but I deleted that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I think at Greg Larsen comedian. Yeah, look yourself up.
I think I'm just on Instagram these days. Yeah.
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
myself up.
We'll
Greg Larsen comedian.
There you
Larsen
go.
with an EN.
Yeah.
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 And we'll tag Geggy in the episode description.
Yeah. I got a
Thanks,
podcast. I got another podcast too. Check that out. The Greg Larsen Show.
Greg
Great
Larsen
pod.
Show. Tommy and I are both very big fans of it.
Yeah.
I'm 90% through yesterday's episode, Geg, about the election, which also made me so fired up.
The
go listen to
before was just me making fart sounds, and the next episode is just me talking about the election and making a couple of fart sounds.
Yeah. The Greg Larsen Show. Get onto that. Get on the Patreon as well. Support Geggy. But we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye.